Hi everyone! If you want to learn about what the heck is going on with the light bulb section of your pet store, stick around. I'm going to explain Reptile light bulbs in this video. I'm helped out by, oh, he's so upset, my beardy Ducky. Okay, so you walk into the reptile store, you're trying to get like a simple heating element for your reptile, and all of a sudden there's just like this wall of light bulbs. And like, I don't know about you, but I even have anxiety trying to find a light bulb just in like the grocery store. When I was first faced with the insane amount of options for reptile heating bulbs, like, I had no idea. I'm hoping this video can help you guys out. I'm going to basically break down the differences between the kinds of bulbs and what the kind of various purposes are for, so you can figure out which bulb is going to work best for your particular situation. The first thing is there's actually like a lot of bulbs that are exactly the same. They're just a different brand. Flukers, Exoterra, Zoomed, and Zilla. And then there's probably also going to be maybe like a no-name brand or something associated with your pet store, like Thrive, for example, is with PetSmart, like whatever. So what is a heating bulb? Most heating bulbs are incandescent bulbs, and that's basically just like your regular light bulb that you use in like your lamp or whatever, and it's the kind of light bulb that gets really hot to the touch. They come in sort of like different shapes. So certain basking bulbs, instead of looking like just a regular round light bulb, will be like a little bit flat. So I'll get into why that is a little bit later when I'm going through all the different types of bulbs. These heating bulbs, they produce heat, which is in other words infrared heat, okay? They also produce visible light, and this means that they're also going to produce UVA light, which is a light wave that we can't see, but reptiles actually can see, and a lot of people will kind of compare that to like how reptiles see colors. What these bulbs do not produce is UVB, okay? That's very important. They only produce heat, visible light, and UVA, but not UVB. All reptiles need a vitamin called vitamin D3, and they have to use that in order to actually synthesize calcium in their body to go toward bone growth. A lot of reptiles, you can just provide that vitamin D3 in dietary supplements. However, some animals need UVB rays to survive from like an actual light bulb. For example, bearded dragons, you have to purchase a UVB bulb separately from your heat bulb. Unless, of course, it's a combination bulb, and I'll get into that a little bit later. You'll also find that different heat bulbs have different wattages. So basically, the higher the wattage, the more heat that the bulb produces. And this is going to be something that you will need to basically figure out, like kind of potentially by trial and error, what sort of works best for your setup regarding the particular temperature you're trying to reach. As kind of like a general guideline of maybe where to start, for like a bearded dragon that needs like a 90 to 100 degree Fahrenheit basking spot, they're usually gonna take about like a 100 to 150 watt bulb, depending how far away the bulb is from the basking spot and the ambient temperatures in your room. Whereas an animal that needs something a bit lower, like 88 to 92 or something, like a snake, that's probably going to be more like a 50 to 75 watt bulb. Again, it depends on your conditions and your particular setup. There's also a lot of different bulbs, that have very different purposes, which, like, to be honest, like, they're kind of like all similar. But you can get the most kind of like bang for your buck if you buy a bulb that's like for the specific purpose that it was kind of like designed for and marketed for. So there's nighttime bulbs. I'm going to talk about those. Spoiler alert, they're useless. Don't buy them. Daylight bulbs, spotlight and tight beam basking bulbs. And then there's also like water resistant bulbs. And these are all examples of incandescent bulbs, like I mentioned before. He's getting restless. Now I lost my train of thought. There are also basking bulbs that are halogen, and there's also bulbs that combine UVB and heat. These are very expensive, but they're like kind of a cool all-in-one bulb, and those are going to be either mercury vapor bulbs or metal halide bulbs. Okay, now let's get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to insert all pictures of all the different kinds so you can kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go through all these different brands and the kinds of bulbs that they produce. I should mention as well, you do need to purchase for all of these bulbs that I'm going to be talking about a fixture for them. So usually they're called reflector domes, and basically it's a dome with like this, oh god, really shiny coating on the inside, which just reflects the heat and light all back, so it kind of like just intensifies the amount of heat and light that you're getting out of the bulb and directs it to a certain area. Nighttime heat bulbs. These are marketed as a low visibility heat bulb, either black or red or blue. They're incandescent, and they're supposed to be used for nighttime heating and also viewing. And because they're like these different colors, apparently that's supposed to mean that your reptile like can't see it just because the light is red. The marketing kind of works because they'll advertise a red nighttime bulb with the name infrared in there. And we're taught to kind of understand that infrared light is like a light wave that you can't see. It only produces heat, which is true. But red basking bulbs do produce infrared because they do produce heat. However, they also produce visible light because when you turn them on, you can see the light. You can see that it's on. These are supposed to be used to increase the temperature for your reptile at night. They are not good at this, okay? They are still producing visible light. That's still going to be irritating to your reptile at night. It's still going to be much brighter than it would be used to if it was just like in the wild and it was naturally dark. So in general, I don't recommend that you use these for supplemental nighttime heating. Instead, either use a heat mat or a ceramic heat emitter. Ceramic heat emitters only produce infrared. They do not produce any visible light whatsoever. Okay, so back to nighttime bulbs. Don't use them, but just so you know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna show you all the different kinds of nighttime bulbs. Oh, I don't want my dog to eat my bearded dragon, that's the problem. Look at his beard, it's so black, like the nighttime bulbs. Okay, so Flukers has the black nightlight bulb, and it also has a separate red bulb because this is like a trend. Exoterra has the night heat lamp and also the infrared basking spot, okay? This is what I mean by them being very misleading. It's a red light bulb that produces visible light and also infrared, but also visible light. Anyways, Zoomed has the moonlight bulb and also the nightlight red bulb and the nocturnal infrared bulb. I don't really know the difference. And then Zoomed has the... What? Did I just say Zoomed already? And Zilla has the nightlight black heat bulb and the night red heat and night spot. And that just has to do with the different shape of the bulb. So all of these options, just totally ignore them. Moving on, daylight bulbs. So daylight bulbs are low heat bulbs that produce bright light, usually pretty white in color. And they're used to basically light up the enclosure and increase the ambient temperature of the enclosure a little bit. Also, if your room doesn't have like a window in it or something, you can use these bulbs to create a day and night cycle for your reptile. They do not provide basking spots. So for animals that bask, so like sit out on a rock in really intense sunlight for a period of time, like a bearded dragon, these are not going to work out very well at all. These can work with snakes if you need to increase the ambient temperature, usually in conjunction with a heat mat. They'll also work fairly well for a diurnal gecko species, but you do want to avoid them with animals that are nocturnal because that bright light is probably going to bother them. So crested geckos and leopard geckos are probably better off not having this bright daylight bulb on them. So the different brands, Flukers has the daylight blue bulb and also the neodymium daylight bulb. And neodymium basically just like makes the light like whiter in color instead of yellow. Exoterra has the daytime heat lamp, is what it's called. And Zoomed has the daylight blue bulb. And then Zilla has the day white light. Now we're moving on to basking bulbs, and that's what this guy uses, and any desert species of animal or animal that basks is also going to want to use. So these are usually called spot bulbs or spotlight bulbs. Spotlight basking bulbs are actually shaped a little bit differently, so that they produce like more heat pretty much, or they produce heat like more effectively. It's a high heat bulb for basking species, usually for animals that need like 90 to 100 type degrees. Like any desert lizard, like a bearded dragon, uromastyx. You can also use them for other lizards like blue-tongued skink, some snakes. But you are going to want to avoid them with animals that don't need very high heat. So for example, a crested gecko, you're going to cook that thing with a basking bulb. This is not a good choice for just raising ambient temperatures. It's going to produce too much heat in too concentrated of an area for that to be effective. Flukers has the basking spotlight bulb. Zoomed has the Reptile basking spot, and they also have a nano version of this for smaller terrariums. Zilla has the white light spot lamp. You'll notice that the word spot is like coming up. Exoterra has the daylight basking spot. Okay, so you can see why this is a bit confusing, because now the word daylight is in with a basking lamp, and you're like, I thought daylight lamps were something different. Yeah, this is why buying bulbs is extremely confusing and hard. The sort of difference between the Zoomed bulbs and the other brands is that the Zoomed ones tend to be like a little bit more yellow, and the other ones have like more of a whiter kind of color. Now, another thing to mention is Exoterra only actually has another version of the basking bulb that they call the intense basking spotlight. And this is basically for animals that need really, really high basking temperatures, like a monitor, for example. That kind of bulb is going to basically focus the heat at a smaller area because they have little reflectors inside of the bulb itself. And so it's going to be easier to reach those really, really high temperatures for species that need very high temperatures. Okay, and then we've got basking bulbs that are specifically designed for animals that have part of their habitat in water. So most commonly turtles, or maybe like a water dragon. Normal incandescent bulbs are going to completely shatter if they come in contact with water. So Zoomed and Exoterra have created these bulbs that will not shatter. So the Zoomed bulbs are called Reptile Tough Splash Proof Halogen Lamp, and the Exoterra bulb is called the Swamp Basking Spot. So this leads pretty well into the next category of lamps, which is halogen basking lamps. Function-wise, they do the exact same thing as a regular incandescent basking lamp. However, it's a halogen lamp. You'll see halogen lamps for sale in hardware stores and stuff. The benefit to a halogen lamp is it lasts much longer than an incandescent bulb, and you can usually get more heat from the halogen lamp with like a lower wattage. They are more expensive than the incandescent bulbs, but supposedly they're also more effective. Flukers has the halogen spot lamp. Zoomed has the Reptile halogen heat lamp, and again, they also have a nano version of this. Exoterra has the halogen basking spot lamp, and Zilla, they actually only have mini halogen bulbs, so similar to the Zoomed nano halogen. They have mini halogen bulbs for really like tiny terrariums that need a really tiny basking spot, and these come in white, blue, and red, just like for your color preference. Okay, and the final type of lamp is going to be a heat lamp combined with a UVB lamp. So these are very pricey. They're called mercury vapor bulbs, and that's just because they use mercury in them. And that's kind of another downside, is they're pretty bad for the environment as well. But then there's also another type of bulb that's called a metal halide bulb, and that does the exact same thing, just in like a different fancy sciencey way. They basically produce high heat for a basking spot, but then they also produce the UVB. The purpose of these is basically like the convenience of only having to have one fixture in your enclosure, and then also just kind of knowing that the exact spot that he's just going crazy right now. I'm just ignoring him, but like this is insane. So also just kind of knowing that the exact spot that your reptile is basking in is also getting direct UVB. However, my understanding is that these bulbs are not quite as reliable at producing sort of the high levels of UVB required for basking desert species like bearded dragons, uromastyx, etc. I don't know if I would really recommend these as the only source of UVB for an animal where UVB is really, really important. They're often used as sort of like a supplementary UVB source. So you'll have like the regular kind of tubular fluorescent UVB across the entire enclosure of your bearded dragon, and then instead of just a regular heat lamp, you'll also have like a mercury vapor bulb or metal halide bulb as your basking spot, and that just provides like supplemental UVB basically. So actually the only time probably that I would consider using one of these is with tortoises, because tortoises do need UVB, but they're not like a lizard used to living in the outbacks of Australia where they really need UVB. He's so mad. I'm sorry. I will never make you do a video again. Okay, yeah, so the brands that offer these are Flukers, Sunspot, UVB heat bulb. Exoterra has the Solar Glow. Zoomed has the Power Sun UV mercury vapor bulb. And then there's also a new brand I'm going to introduce, which is Mega Ray. I did mention there's also metal halide bulbs. I mean, this is actually produced by Exoterra. This is called the Sunray Metal Halide. And supposedly this is like superior to a mercury vapor bulb. I do not understand the science. You can look more into that if UVB heat bulb combinations are kind of like the way you want to go. Okay, so that's the video for today. Oh my god, it's so long. I'm gonna have to edit the crap out of this, but that is your summary of heating for your reptiles, and hopefully this can help you figure out how to choose a bulb for your reptile. Thanks so much for watching and sticking with me if you stayed all the way to the end. Bye. Ducky's gonna say bye. He's gonna say bye forever because he absolutely hated this completely. Look at his black beard. See ya! Are you waving? Bye!